Chicago Stadium. Isn't this a pretty sight? The Andrews sisters never sat this close. The insiders, Peter Vesey and Bob Ferry, will get their thoughts on the series itself in just a few moments. But first, this time of the year, the trade talk really heats up. What's going on?
Well, I got a big camp in Chicago coming up this week, and nothing was happening up until now. And the first 3 picks of this draft, Bob, are considered virtually untouchable. So everybody's going to the Nuggets at number 4 to try and get something going. Right now, I hear that the Hawks and the Hornets are talking to them about a 3-way deal involving their big men. Blair Rasmussen would be going to the Hawks, and we'd have the who else we got there?
J.R. Reed.
J.R. Reed would probably be going from the Hornets with probably Del Curry, and then we'd have Kevin Willis and Doc Rivers probably going to the Nuggets, and then Willis would go to the Hornets for the other 2 guys. It's very complicated.
Wait a minute, somebody got a telestrator to diagram this deal?
We got Bar O'Reilly.
The classic 3-way trade,
right.
boy. I tell you.
Is Larry Brown on the move? Did I hear that?
Well, Larry Brown put in a paper down in Charlotte that, he would consider the South Carolina job. And I tried to get a hold of Larry, but Larry is bicycling in France. So I talked to his best friend and his agent, Joe Glass, and Joe said that Larry eventually wants to get back in college. They haven't contacted South Carolina on the record yet. And the surprising thing was he indicated to me if Larry Brown wanted really to go to South Carolina, that he didn't think that the San Antonio owner, Red McComb, would object.
Well, evidently they must not be 2 peas in a pod, but nonetheless, despite the fact that Larry always has that wanderlust, you'd have to think he'd want to give it one more shot with a team that has David Robinson and has a chance to win.
Well, I found out that he has, through an intermediary, contacted South Carolina, and so he is very interested in that job. There are an awful lot of guys that are interested in Alex English, Brian Winters. We've got Terry Holland that's interested in, Gary Williams from Maryland. Dick Harder has even put his name in for that job.
Former Hornet coach.
Right.
It would surprise me very much if Larry did take the job. I mean, he has done a great job of building that franchise, being part of it. It was a disappointing loss. I know a lot of people are disappointed about how they went out, but they're on the brink of breaking through, and he's a big part of that, and it would be a big loss for the NBA if he goes to South Carolina.
Just a moment. Let me ask our director, Kelly Atkinson, to reprise the 2-shot he had just a moment ago of Peter Vesey and Pat Riley, looking like best pals come September or October when this guy is coaching the Knicks and this fella pulls out the blade.
And he's going to give me a facial, he said.
It's at least twice a week. At least twice a week, right.
But to be honest, anyhow.
All right, let's get to the matter at hand here. Thoughts on the Bulls and the Lakers?
Well, I really think the Chicago Bulls are going to win this in 7 games. I think Chicago's got the best half-court defense, especially if they pick up the Lakers out high like they did against Detroit. It'll keep the ball from going into the big men. I pick Chicago.
Peter?
Well, I'm going to go with whoever Dean Smith thinks is going to win this thing. What do you think? Which North Carolina team is he going to root for? Which player? I think that you've got to go with Magic because no player has ever been able to control the tempo like he has. The only way the Bulls are going to get around that, I believe, is if they press him full court. He did look tired as the games ended in Portland. The 6th game, he was really dragging. So I think they're going to try and force him, maybe the way that the Sixers did with Andrew Toney, make him turn every which way.
Riles?
Well, I think they talked a lot about hunger. Michael Jordan has said, we are hungry, they are experienced. But when it comes down to this series, right now, the Los Angeles Lakers have players who have played in 140 final games. The Chicago Bulls have had no player play in the finals. I think it's going to come down to experience. It will be a 7-game win for the Lakers.
Well, for whatever it's worth, the last team to win an NBA championship on the franchise's first trip to the finals was Bill Walton's Trailblazers in 1977. If you want to make a small distinction, the last team to win on its first trip to the finals with an essentially new cast was the Lakers in 1980. You can't count Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain and the rest years earlier. So the last time a new group won was in 80. The last time a franchise making its first trip won was in 77. That's the trend that Jordan and the Bulls are trying to buck. When we come back, we'll take a look at one of the most important Bulls, a man who's gone from star to superstar this year, Scottie Pippen. That's when we continue just prior to Game 1 from Chicago.